Let's talk about the Ball family and the James family. Two of the most talked about family names in basketball for very different reasons. Lonzo, LaMelo, and LiAngelo carved out their own narratives under the polarizing spotlight of their father, LaVar Ball. And Bronny James has grown up in the shadow of basketball royalty. Was LaVar Ball right all along about Bronny James? 7 years ago, LaVar made some bold claims that didn't sit well with LeBron. He pointed out the immense pressure on NBA legends' kids, saying it's nearly impossible for them to live up to their father's greatness.
There have been a lot of great players, and all their sons are whack. Kareem got a son? No. Magic
Jordan
got some sons.
Didn't make it. Yeah.
Jordan got sons. You know, the monsters in the NBA, their dads wasn't that good. Kobe Bryant, his dad wasn't all that. That's why he's such a monster. So you look at, you got LeBron. It's going to be very hard for his kids because they're not going to look at him as LeBron's kids. They're going to be like, you better be just like your dad. And then after a while, that pressure starts sitting on you because it's like, wow, why I got to be like him? Why can't it just be me? And then they be like, oh, you're soft. You're not that good, because the expectation is very, very high.
At the time, his words were dismissed as just more of LaVar's over-the-top antics. LeBron even told him to keep my kid's name out of your mouth. But fast forward to today, and it's starting to feel like LaVar might have been onto something. Is Bronny really ready for the NBA? Was he ever actually ready? Or is he a victim of unfair expectations? This isn't about Bronny's talent or work ethic, but about the environment he's been thrust into. From his father's public dream of playing alongside him to the relentless media coverage that comes with being a James, it's clear Bronny's path is anything but normal. LeBron has never been shy about his dream of sharing the court with his son, a goal so rare and heartwarming it feels ripped straight from a Hollywood script. And who wouldn't want to see that? A father-son duo balling together in the NBA? But has LeBron's dream unintentionally put Bronny under an unnecessary microscope? It's like Bronny's basketball journey has become less about his potential and more about keeping LeBron's legacy alive. Instead of just letting the kid grow, develop, and make a name for himself, the focus always seems to circle back to the king. And let's be real, would we even be dissecting a young player averaging 4.8 points per game if his jersey didn't have James on the back? The truth is, Bronny's journey mirrors what LaVar predicted years ago. Unlike the Ball brothers, Bronny's been under the brightest spotlight since day one. Every game, every stat, every highlight, or lowlight is magnified because of his name. But the question remains, is Bronny being given the space to prove himself on his own terms, or is he being fast-tracked for a story bigger than basketball? The immense pressure on Bronny isn't just theoretical, it's playing out in real time. In his first season at USC, Bronny's numbers didn't exactly scream NBA ready. He averaged under 5 points per game, shot 36.6% from the field, and hit just 26.7% from three-point range. Statistically speaking, he was trash. Yet, the conversation around him has been louder than that of the players with far better resumes. Why? Well, the answer is obvious. LaVar Ball's controversial statements from years ago about the struggles of NBA legends' kids suddenly feel prophetic. He pointed out how kids like Michael Jordan's and Magic Johnson's struggled to step out of their father's immense shadows. And for Bronny, the spotlight is even harsher. It's not just about living up to LeBron's greatness. It's about fulfilling the dream his father has publicly declared, to play in the NBA alongside him. That dream is what makes Bronny's story so compelling and so complicated. It's a dream that has added layers of pressure, not just from the media, but from the expectations of fans, scouts, and the league itself. Let's not forget the moment LeBron tweeted that, "Man, Bronny definitely better than some of these cats I've been watching on League Pass today." While it was meant as a vote of confidence, it only heightened the scrutiny. And then there's the issue of Bronny's cardiac arrest. Just a year ago, his basketball career and life hung in the balance. Coming back from something like that isn't just a physical challenge, it's a mental and emotional battle. Yet instead of easing into his journey, he's been thrust into a league where every move is dissected. Some argue that Bronny needed more time in college to develop at his own pace, away from the relentless spotlight. Contrast this with the Ball brothers. Lonzo and LaMelo were dominant in high school, with Lonzo taking the traditional college route at UCLA, and LaMelo carving his own path in Lithuania. They weren't burdened by their father's legacy, and LaVar, for all his antics, allowed them to grow into their roles naturally. Even LiAngelo, who didn't make it to the NBA, wasn't shielded from the truth. LaVar told him he wasn't good enough, Plain and simple. Brutal? Maybe. Honest? Definitely. Bronny hasn't had the same luxury of organic development. Instead, he's been fast-tracked, joining the G League amidst skepticism. While his performance there, averaging 14.7 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 4.2 assists, has shown promise, the shadow of his last name looms large. Is his development being stunted by the weight of expectations, or is it fueling his drive to prove doubters wrong? Bronny's skill set is improving, but the question isn't whether he's ready for the NBA. It's whether he's ready to carry the weight of a legacy. Here's where it all comes to a head. Bronny is no ordinary prospect. He's not just trying to prove he belongs in the NBA. He's battling the narrative that he's only there because of his father. Is this his game, or is it LeBron's legacy on display? The G League has offered a glimpse of what Bronny is capable of. With his game improving, Bronny's starting to silence some critics. His defensive instincts, court vision, and basketball IQ have been standout traits, showing he's more than just a product of nepotism. But even with these strides, the question remains, will this be enough? The climax of Bronny's story isn't just about his stats, it's about the perception of them. No matter how well he plays, the doubters will say it's because of his father's influence. The irony? LeBron's support, while invaluable, has also been a double-edged sword. The very man who's paved the way for Bronny is also the reason the road is so treacherous. Take, for example, the media frenzy surrounding his G League performances. Analysts and fans dissect his every move, some praising his development, while others diminish his progress as a result of favoritism. Even his cardiac arrest recovery, a challenge most athletes will never face, has been overshadowed by the narrative of LeBron's dream. But despite this, Bronny continues to work, improve, and show resilience in the face of criticism. Now here's the twist. Bronny doesn't have to live up to LeBron's legacy to succeed. His future isn't about being the next King James, it's about being the first Bronny James. And that's a story worth telling. Bronny's journey in the G League shows flashes of his potential, where his instincts and high motor make him a promising prospect. His offensive game still needs polishing, consistency with his shot, strength for finishing at the rim. But he's learning, adapting, and proving he belongs. Bronny's career isn't going to be defined by one season, one league, or even one game. He's only 20 years old, with years ahead of him to grow into the player he wants to be. He's not just fighting to earn a roster spot, he's fighting to carve out his own identity in a league that's all too quick to judge. His story is far from over. Whether he becomes a household name in the NBA or not, his journey has already made an impact. It's highlighted the pressures young athletes face, the challenges of living in the shadow of greatness, and the resilience required to forge your own path. Was LaVar Ball actually right about Bronny James? Love him or hate him, the man doesn't miss when it comes to stirring the pot. And in this case, he might have been onto something. But maybe we're asking the wrong question. Instead of focusing on whether LaVar was right, let's tackle something bigger. Why is it so hard for superstar players to raise superstar kids? On paper, it doesn't make sense. These dads have the talent, the experience, and the resources most kids could only dream of. Courts in the backyard, trainers on speed dial, lessons learned from decades of competing at the highest level. Shouldn't that be the ultimate recipe for success? Yet time and time again, we see these kids struggling to step out from their father's shadow. Is it the weight of the family name? The constant comparisons? Or maybe it's because greatness isn't something you can hand down like a pair of old sneakers. It's earned. And when your dad's already a legend, it can feel like there's no room left in the spotlight for you. So yeah, LaVar might have been right, but Bronny's story is far from over. What LaVar might not have accounted for is Bronny's ability to rise above it all. Whether he's putting in work in the G League or leveling up to the NBA, Bronny isn't just out here chasing LeBron's dream of a father-son NBA moment. He's chasing his dream. And that's what makes his journey one to watch. Whatever happens next, one thing's for sure. Bronny James is writing his own story, one chapter at a time.